Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be trying to answer some questions. A question I get a lot are what bags I use and why I use them. So I'm going to try to answer that first. I'm not real confident in my gear reviews, so I've been avoiding them. But I'm going to try to get to these questions starting with but I'm going to try to get to these questions starting with my bags. So my first two trips that I took on a bicycle, I wasn't sure I was going to enjoy it, and I didn't want to spend a lot of money on any kind of bike stuff because I didn't know if I would even like it. So I got on Amazon and I ordered the cheapest set of panniers I could find, and I strapped that to an old mountain bike onto a rack that fits any bike. And then I took a duffel bag and I set it on top of the rack. I had to use that twice. It works. You can do it. Not the best idea. A lot of weight in the duffel bag, so I had a lot of weight high on the rack. After 2 trips bike packing, I decided I enjoyed it and I invested in the Trek 520, which is what I normally ride bike touring, and I wanted to get decent bags, and I had the mindset of ultralight, so I followed a lot of ultralight backpacking prior to biking, and I tried to go as light as I could. And the bags I went with was the Arkel Dry-Lites. They come as a pair. They're roll top. There's no bells and whistles. They're held on by nylon straps basically and Velcro. As a pair, they're 28 liters for both bags, so 14 liters a piece, and the set of bags is 1.25 pounds, and they're waterproof. Really light in comparison to most bags. I used those for a few trips, and eventually I realized I wanted to be able to organize my stuff better, so I started researching, and I got a pair of Arkel Dolphins. The Arkel Dolphins are 24 liters apiece, and I had 2 on the rear. It's actually the setup that I used on the Katy Trail. I only went with rear bags because they're so big that all my stuff fit in the 2 rear bags. They got 2 separate waterproof compartments. There's a little pocket in between the 2 pockets, and they got water bottle holders on the outside. Previously, I was carrying my water on the inside of my bags, which took up space, and I didn't like having water inside of my bags. On the Katy Trail, I realized having all the weight on the back of the bike was a bad idea, because with no weight on the front of the bag, your front tire tends to slide when you turn. And when you try to lift the bike up, like over a log or something, the front end flies up in the air. So after the Katy trip, I decided to invest in a pair of Arkel Orcas, and I got the smallest ones they have, which are 12.5 liters a piece, and I put those on the front so I can spread the weight around a little bit. It's more stable. It seems to be more stable that way. So my current setup on my touring bike is a pair of Dolphins on the rear and Orcas on the front. That's 48 liters in the rear in the Dolphins and 25 liters on the front. And I'll be honest, it's way more room than I need. I could literally put everything in the rear bags. I knew the Dolphins were too big, but it's the only option they had that had the outside bottle holders, and I wanted that. I just realized they now have 16-liter bags with the bottle holders, and now I'm going to have to try not to buy those. maybe next year. I don't know. They're also black, and I like black, but I think black, there's going to attract more heat. I don't know. I'm blabbing. I also use my trunk bag is an Arkel TailRider trunk bag that goes on the back of the bike on the rack. That's where I put my drone most of the time. Okay, so I recently got a mountain bike, and with the intention of bike packing or bike touring on the mountain bike in places that maybe the 520 couldn't go. So I went with a mountain bike, not a gravel bike, because 520 I can put pretty big tires on it and probably take it anywhere that you can take a gravel bike, but you can't take a gravel bike everywhere you can take the mountain bike. So it just made sense to me to get a mountain bike, not a gravel bike. With the gravel bike, I wanted to go back to something really light, but I also wanted something that I could take the bags on and off pretty easy. And with the Arkel Dry-Lites, the way it goes on is kind of complicated and time consuming if you're trying to take them off real quick. You gotta like interlocking Velcro straps and stuff. With the mountain bike, for my rear bags, I went with Ortlieb Gravel-packs, which are 14.5 liters a piece and 1.5 pounds. They're light, they attach really easily. They have a similar attaching mechanism to Ortlieb, or they have a similar attaching system to Arkel's, but they're lighter. And I also got their fork packs, which attach to the suspension fork. Now, their fork packs, the one I got is 5.8 liters each, and they're a half a pound. That's not counting the attaching system. The Ortlieb fork packs come with everything you need to attach them to the suspension fork, but I'll be honest, I didn't like the way they attached. So I've got I went through the company Tailfin, and I got their suspension mounting system. The Tailfin mounting system you can take on and off as many times as you want, where the Ortlieb mounting system kind of looks like once you put them on, they're just kind of on there, and you're limited to how many times you can take it on and off. That's my current setup. I only have experience with the bags that I have. Those are all I've got. Those are all I've used. I am learning as I go, just like a lot of y'all. So if you have more experience, if there's other bags that you like, fill us in on the comments, and let's all learn together.
This is quality content. Like